Okay, thanks for tuning in for this important conversation. I'm David Archibald. I'm a real estate agent here in the Salt Lake area, but I'm here to talk about more than homes today. I'm here to highlight one of our area's outstanding charitable organizations, since the communities we live in are so much more than their homes, their shops, or their civic amenities. I think we understand and experience our communities through the people who share those communities with us. And today I get to introduce you to one of those special people. I'm honored to be joined by Cristie North from the Taylor Hagen Memorial Foundation. The foundation was created in memory of her son Taylor, with a mission that is both deeply personal and universally important: to prevent suicide and bring hope to individuals and families through awareness, education, and community support. As we prepare for their upcoming Vision Gala, Cristie is here to share Taylor's story, the work that's being done through the foundation, and how all of us can play a role in supporting mental health and saving lives. Cristie, thank you for joining us today.
Well, it's an honor to be here.
Very nice of you. We've talked a little bit about the foundation, that its mission is all about suicide prevention, mental health awareness, and community support. You've got a variety of programs that you use to support that mission.
We do.
Yeah, the most pressing one right now is your Vision Gala,
It is.
November 8th.
Yes, we're in the depth of that. Yes.
Okay, we'll have a chance to talk about that, because one of the goals that I've got for this conversation is that I can share the word, get people to either attend or support in another way.
Thank you. We're
Yep.
looking forward to talk about it.
Sounds great. Well, one of the reasons that it's important for me to have this conversation with Cristie is because I personally have been affected by suicide and by mental health challenges. It is terribly difficult to lose a loved one. I lost my girlfriend Tara about 6 years ago. That experience really opened my eyes to the challenges that many people face. It caused me to think differently about life. It caused me to open up and be more vulnerable in my conversations with those that I care about. So this cause is one that's near and dear to my heart.
It's interesting you say, that it put you in a place where you looked at life differently, and it's so sad that it's that puts us in that perspective that we get, but it is also one of those collateral beautiful things that can happen where we look at life differently.
Yes.
We see things differently. We have such more awareness and perspective. So I have so much compassion for that.
I love that. I've had that thought before, that I don't know that I should celebrate any type of good that has come from that event, but that's who we are as humans. So we have to take the difficult situations we're placed in and glean some type of value from them.
Yes, I think it's so powerful.
Well, let's get into it a little bit. I'd love it if you could share Taylor's story and how he inspired the creation of the foundation.
Well, I love to talk about Taylor.
Yeah.
So just getting the invitation to be here, for me to have some time to really spend and focus on Taylor and what we're doing. I tend to get really caught up in our day-to-day and everything that we have going on, that I can easily distract from that. And so thank you for giving me the chance to talk about Taylor. I'll share a little bit about Taylor, that, Taylor was the middle child. He was very charming. He was funny, witty. He was a prankster. And he was beautiful in so many ways. I could go on and on and on. And yet he was also very complicated. I would say, I used to tell him he was one of my most challenging children. He challenged me as a mother in so many ways. And yet I'm so grateful for a lot of that, because I think I'm a better mother because of him.
Yes.
We lost Taylor when he was 23, and we are coming up on 9 years. And I would say that, I say this often, it feels like yesterday and forever ago all at the same time. And in losing Taylor, I knew right away that I needed to figure out how I carried the legacy of him wanting to give back and also honor him at the same time. And so it was not a very long process for me to decide that we were going to start the Taylor Hagen Memorial Foundation. Foundation.
Oh, wow. So that wasn't just you responding to the loss of Taylor, but it was really your way of reminding the world of who he was.
Yes, very much
He
so.
was a giver.
Yes. We found a letter from Taylor. Actually, it wasn't really a letter, it was Taylor's bucket list.
Oh.
And among items that said drive nice cars with beautiful women, he also he also had listed on there give back. How do I help others? And so I'm really proud that is a part of who he was. And so definitely as a family we knew we were going to do something to honor that part of him.
Wow, that's really special. That's really sweet. I find it impressive that you did take Taylor's legacy, what he was known for, and morphed it into action on this cause, because it's also easy to just suffer the loss, go through the grieving, and in some ways it's hard to bounce back from that and really put yourself out there, especially to talk about a subject that's challenging.
Oh, yeah.
Has it been difficult for you to go through that?
It was interesting because I remember when we started to start the movement of what we were doing, and I reached out to a lot of people that were already in that space with their own nonprofits and work that they were doing, and for them they had seen so many people, mothers, parents, that after losing a child, it's the first thing you want to do to this loss. You want to figure out how you prevent others and you bring awareness around it. And so there was, a lot of people that didn't really think this would last, that this energy that we had around it was going to probably be short-lived, and that was okay. At the time, I did not know what the foundation would look like. Initially, right away, we started raising money. When we wrote the obituary, I told my daughter who wrote the obituary, we need to make sure that we are not holding this information back. So I want it to be apparent how your brother passed, because we need to be, I don't want people asking me, how did he die? And then me consistently having to give that answer. So I wanted it to be out there. And so we raised money, and the goal was to raise $16,000 because Taylor's hockey number was 16. And so,
cute.
So we did raise that money, and I was so passionate about putting that money in a place that was going to directly impact our community. And I knew we needed to open up a nonprofit to be able to hold that money, but at the same time, I was ready to write a check, and the place that I was sending that check to was American Foundation of Suicide Prevention.
Yep, love it.
And I love their work. I love the people that are doing it, and I'm such a big supporter of it.
Yes.
What I didn't know when I delivered that check, in my excitement, I thought, we are doing it. We are making an impact. And we did, but I received a letter a few weeks later that told me, and this might not be received well, but I do say it with, understanding and respect for the people that are in the nonprofits that are doing the hard work and that are salaries for it.
Yes.
So I didn't know my check was going to go towards salaries. And so when I received that letter, I was a little disheartened because I really wanted it to impact somebody's life that was here in our community. And so that's when I was really pushed forward to figure out how we were going to do something where the money would stay right here in Utah, and it would directly impact the lives that are here, that are struggling, that are suffering, and that are grieving. And so that's where we moved forward with the nonprofit. And each program came to fruition at different phases of what how we had started. We have our Hope Basket program, where people that if you lose someone, it does not have to be suicide. Any loss, any child loss, you reach out to us and we will send a Hope Basket, which helps provide resources to families not knowing what to do when that happens to them.
Wow. Yes.
And that came from a place of us experiencing that, having 5 children that were also, that had lost their brother, and me not knowing, how do I help my children? Mm-hmm. And so we did that program, and the bereaved mother retreats, came into play. And, as the 8 years have gone through, we have, I know you want to talk on some of these, the bereaved mother retreats, the Hope Basket, our youth program is super powerful for me because looking back at Taylor's life, if I go back in time, I can pinpoint around 13 when things started. And so my goal is, how do we touch our youth to help prevent them at 23, 24, 25
Yes.
of making this type of decision?
Yeah. These are huge life decisions, and you want your child to have the ability to understand their emotions, understand how their brain works, and know how to process the difficult things they're going to come across in life. It's just a fact of life.
It's the coping skills.
The coping skills, you're
Yeah.
right. And we all know that kids that age are a little bit impulsive. They may not think everything through. And it's heartbreaking if you think of a child who makes a permanent decision on an impulsive thought.
I'll never forget those first few weeks when you say that, a permanent decision, because I felt like I spent a lot of time fixing challenges that my children were coming to me with, or problems that they were experiencing. And I remember those first few weeks in so much pain, thinking, Bud, I can't fix this. This choice, there is no fix to this one. You left me in a place where there is nothing I can do to fix it. And that was such a hopeless feeling as a mother.
Oh, my gosh. Since you mentioned that, it just triggers a thought for me that I've thought of so many times, that when somebody chooses to leave this life through suicide, we know that they're going through a tremendous amount of pain. Obviously, they're feeling grief, they're feeling all of these emotions. And I think it's easy for them to imagine that if they are not living anymore, that grief, that pain goes away. But I'm a strong believer that it doesn't go away. It really just gets transferred.
Right.
And it gets transferred to the ones who love you and care for you. And I don't even know if it's the same unit of grief. I kind of feel like it gets magnified.
Right.
And so that everybody gets an equal share of that pain.
Suicide is considered one of the most complicated griefs that for the people left behind. And it's unfortunate that we don't have a true understanding, and those of us that don't know that pain will never really understand what our loved ones were going through at that time. And I think some of the misconceptions is that it was a selfish act.
Right.
And it is not a selfish act. And I think when we state that, we take away the ability, we have to work on changing that narrative, because it impacts the people that are still struggling, feeling that they have the ability to share that they are not okay.
Totally right. And I'm sure that you would rather have 1,000 difficult conversations with your son than to see him pass.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I hear someone say that was a selfish act, it just tears me apart, because I don't think at any point in time that Taylor was trying to hurt someone else. I think that the pain, they want the pain to stop, and that pain is so terrible. It's like a heart attack that takes over the body. Mental illness takes over the mind.
Ooh.
And they don't have the bandwidth, the wherewithal, the space to be able to shift it easily. And so we really have to be careful with those stories that we're saying regarding that.
Absolutely right. It's easy to feel a little bit bitter when you lose somebody that way, but when you really look at it, you know they're not trying to hurt you. It's the last thing they'd want to do. Actually, I think in some cases they feel like they're making things better for
Correct.
you.
Yeah.
But same with Tara. I know that wasn't a selfish decision. It wasn't meant to hurt anybody.
She was in such a depth of pain,
right,
that she didn't know any other way.
Yeah, totally right.
Yeah. And it's heartbreaking.
It is.
And if you can have compassion for that, again, we open up the space for others to be able to share where they're at so that we can help them navigate that.
Totally right. That if somebody is feeling that way, I would want them to feel like they could talk to me, that they can share their deepest, darkest feelings and not get any judgment
Right.
or scorn from me for doing so.
Well, I remember I was angry for a long time.
Yeah.
I was one of the only mothers that I was connected with that expressed they were mad.
Stages of grief.
And
right?
every other mother said, I don't have any anger towards them. And I would look at them thinking, I am the worst mother in the world.
How could I be
so
mad
mad
then?
at him for what has been left behind. And I had a good friend who's actually in the industry. We went out for coffee, and he has struggled his whole life with mental health, married with children, has all the things, and he opened up my eyes. I was so grateful that he took the time to sit me down and say, Cristie, this is what it looks like. This is what happens when you are in the depth of that. You have no awareness about anything around you because your mind is not allowing it.
Oh.
Your mind is telling you stories that you couldn't imagine. And as much as I love my wife and my children, there are days that the narrowness that happens takes me out of that. And I had no idea.
Wow. That's really insightful.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. My heart goes out to anybody who struggles and feels that their life isn't worthwhile. I'd want them to know that they can choose to leave. We have to respect their individual wishes, but the world will never be the same if they do.
No, and I say this in my speech at the gala. If I had another chance with Taylor, I would say the brutal, honest stuff, and it would be, your siblings will never be the same.
Yeah.
They will spend the rest of their lives wondering what they could have done different. Your parents are never going to be the same, and we will forever be changed by this. And we will always question, what could we have done differently? And we will live with regret, remorse, guilt. Although they say, you hear, it wasn't you. You did everything you could. You only could go off of the information that you had, and that is true. But it is also real that we will always feel that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we have to be careful with that communication too, because I think it's more important that we hear them and we are able to validate them.
Yes.
The responses, but you have a good life. The responses of, but you have a family that loves you. Suicide and mental health does not discriminate.
No.
It affects all of us. And if we can come from a space, to your point, of non-judgment, and also a space of holding so much love for where they're at, and hearing them, then we can make a difference.
Yes. To your point, when somebody's struggling, they don't need to hear so much about how it would impact us if they left. What they need to hear about is how much we care about them, and how they currently feel.
Yes.
We want them to know that what they're feeling is valid, that their concerns are worth hearing, that we care about all of the emotions that they're going through, and also that we can see a light on the end of the tunnel, even if they can't right now.
Right. And it's important to help them with that. It's the listening, it's the talking, but it's also the doing. And inviting them to get out of that space by going, whether it's out in nature or doing something that they love and finding a way to get them back to there, instead of saying you should go on a walk or you should want to run. How about let's go on a walk?
Yeah.
Let's go on whatever that is.
Yes, so that you're taking them to a different space, but not leaving them alone to deal with it themselves.
Right.
I love that. Maybe let's shift back to your programs a little bit.
Okay.
And thank you so much for sharing all that you did there. Lots of wisdom. what you had to say, and lots of learning from life. Um, I I discovered your foundation um, shortly after Tara passed because I had a motorcycle, and I heard there was a Vision rally
Yes.
that was going on, and if you've got a motorcycle and it's a beautiful summer day, you don't pass an opportunity to bond with others that ride motorcycles. But I remember going to that event, being so impressed with the way that you talked about suicide and the support and programs that you offered to that end. So maybe we could talk about them. You mentioned quickly the Hope Baskets.
Yes.
I think that's fantastic. I actually didn't know that you provided those baskets for those who have any loss, not just a suicide loss.
Yes. And again, that program is run by a couple of my board members, Leanne Garcia and Kim Naylor does our We Remember You program. And so if anybody that has attended a retreat or receives that Hope Basket, also every year we remember them on the anniversary of the loss. And, through the bereaved mother retreats, I might be going off topic here. Let me go back to the Hope Baskets because it's important for our community to know that there's a place that you can reach out to. We will provide the resources, the contacts, the connections for that family so that they can, be able to figure out what do they do now? Where do they turn to now?
Because you just don't know.
You don't know.
Like, how do I navigate my life after going through this?
And for me, it was sitting down at a coffee table, Googling therapists for 5 kids that I didn't know how we're going to navigate this.
Oh my gosh.
And it was overwhelming and exhausting in the midst of the depths of hell I was currently in.
Right.
And so we have compiled every book we've read, every resource that we have access to, and we put it together in a place that you can easily find that information. Now, we don't send those baskets until about 2 weeks after the services. We have been very strategic about when they come to the families because there's so much happening in the first month. And so anyway, you can do it anonymously or we can do it on behalf of you, but you send the name, contact, and how the loss. We need to know the loss because we tailor those baskets to that loss.
Oh, makes sense.
Yes.
Oh, what a beautiful thing. You got excited about your youth programs also.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the types of things you do with your youth program?
Yeah, so we're partnered with Stand for Kind. They are in the schools. It was important for me that we were able to touch the kids in high school, junior high and high school. Like I said, those were the years that I think are so impactful in finding the coping skills and the connection that our youth need. And so Stand for Kind does what we call they've named the Taylor Hagen Leadership Camps. And they, on average, 50 children attend each camp. And they'll be doing 3 camps this year with the donations that we have been able to raise to help provide that support. And then they also do weekly camps at the schools where they are coaching and mentoring not only the kids but the administration to help them be able to identify the skills to learn how to listen, to show up, and my hope is that we will continue to be able to provide that, and we make a difference with our youth here in Salt Lake.
So nice. Yeah, I love that. Okay, I mentioned to you earlier that I really love your bereaved mothers retreat and the concept of giving each of those mothers the chance to get away from family and responsibilities to a place where they can really explore all of their emotions with others who have gone through the same thing. I can imagine they come out feeling so supportive, so supported, and so much more strong and ready to face the life after their loved one passes.
The bereaved mother retreats they hold such a special place for me because we do 3 a year. We average 6 to 8 mothers at each retreat. We're on, I think I recall we're over 25 retreats, probably over 150 mothers that we have helped. And when a parent loses a child, the risk of suicide goes up exponentially.
for the parent.
for the parent.
Oh.
And so we are not only helping these families to find their way forward, but we are also saving lives with these bereaved mother retreats. And we started these 7 years ago. I attended a retreat in Canada, and I knew instantly that I needed to bring it back here so that we could have more local impact. And, you know, do I have time to share a little story with you?
Please.
I had an aunt, my Aunt Renita, who is no longer here, but she was a big part of my life in my teen youth time and in my 20s. And looking back, I knew she lost a 2-year-old, but I had no awareness around what that meant and what that looked like at that young age, nor did I have it in my 20s and 30s.
Right.
And I looked back and recalled, Aunt Renita didn't always show up. There were events and big moments that she just couldn't make, and we did not have a lot of grace for Aunt Renita. There was a lot of judgment behind it, and not a lot of compassion why Aunt Renita just went MIA for periods of time. And after losing Taylor, it was like, oh my God, Aunt Renita never got over her grief. She never had the resources back then to have a support group, to be able to talk about it. She had other children, and those, my cousins, were raised by their father because when she lost him, she lost herself and spent years not knowing. And I looked back at that and thought, I have to figure out how I do this differently. I need to figure out how I show up for my children in a way that they need the mother Taylor got.
Yes.
And so I have got to figure out how to do this because they have a lot of years left. And so these retreats have been created to be able to help these mothers find a way to move forward. Not moving on, moving forward.
Right.
And carrying that grief, and also being able to show up for their children, for their husbands, for their family in a way that honors their child. And so there's nothing about these retreats that are super profound, but what they've created is a space for these mothers to connect, to feel validated, to feel heard, to be able to say their child's name as often as they want.
Right.
And I'm honored that I get to be a part of that journey. It's also healing for me to be able to spend the time that I do get with them. And it's interesting because it's such a beautiful transformation that happens. I have mothers that come in that have not gotten out of bed for a year. Mothers that have not shown up for their children or their grandchildren. That they have had to quit their jobs. It has stifled them to such a profound way. And they show up on the Friday night, and we ask them to share where they're at mentally. And every one of them, or emotionally I should say, is anxiety, overwhelmed, pain, deep sadness, all of the heaviness, right? By Saturday, they have completely shifted. It's less than a 24-hour window that these mothers have completely transformed. And by Sunday, it's so beautiful, but it's so shocking to me sometimes how it happens, but it does. And so I'm so proud of that program. It's one that we personally do and spend the time doing. Some of the other programs, we're providing the resources, but this one we are truly having an impact on. And to hear the stories later, I hear mothers, that were in my retreat 7 years ago, 2 years ago, that are sharing, I wouldn't be where I am today. You have changed my life. And when I get that second guessing that happens, where I say, who am I to do this? And am I making a difference? And I get those stories, yeah.
You are.
And so I'm so grateful for that trust.
That's so lovely. What a great story. And I can just imagine each of those ladies stepping into that retreat feeling like they were fighting this battle of their own. They were trying to figure out how to be a normal, contributing member of society, contributing member of their family while going through all of this grief. But to step into a place where not only do they get resources and conversations that help them process that, but they come away with friends who have gone through the same thing as them. And it's no knock on friends who haven't gone through that,
Right.
but they understand you in a different way.
And it's so true. And I think we talked about the retreats are not just for suicide loss. Because what I've learned through my own journey is that it doesn't matter how we lose a child. We all, whether it's from an illness, an accident, we all have the same regret, remorse, should have, would have. How could I have done this differently? And so my goal is with these retreats, we may not know the type of loss, but we know the grief. And when we have that perspective, as sad as it is to hear someone share their story and they hear the horror or the trauma from whatever that loss was, the other mothers in the room are able to say, oh, I'll carry this. I don't know if I could do that. And then there's also the mother that I've had mothers 20 years come to my retreats. And the mothers that are a year. And the mother that is 20 years along, that is still carrying it, can look back and go, look how far I've come. Mm-hmm. And the mother that is a year in can look at the mother 10, 15 years out and say, okay, I could probably do this. And that's the beauty of the retreats. It's not how you lost, but it's the connections and the validation and the support that we get from those other mothers.
So sweet. I love that. I really appreciate the way that you approach that, because there are a lot of organizations that are about prevention of suicide. But I don't know a lot of organizations that are so active in supporting those who have gone through the loss. And it makes perfect sense that if they're well supported, well educated after a loss, then you have a generational impact there where you're teaching them to survive themselves, you're teaching the kids, you're influencing everybody. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love it. Okay, so let's talk just generally about breaking the stigma of mental health. I've seen for myself that many people are reluctant to open up and talk about their challenges. And I think it's easy to feel like what they're going through is not as significant as, say, somebody battling a physical sickness. But in many ways, they're going through the same symptoms and emotions and challenges as somebody who has some other diagnosis physically.
No, and it's real, and we were talking about this a little bit. If we can be open to sharing our stories, regardless of what it is, it can be mental health, it can be about our children. You know, we're so afraid to talk about what's happening in our children's lives because we're thinking that someone is going to judge us and say, you must be good parenting, right?
Right.
And if we are sharing all the things, then it gives people the platform to be able to feel okay to do the same. And again, to the stigma, you know, as we spoke earlier, if we are labeling this as something in a negative, then we prevent others from being open and from communicating and sharing. We need to be able to share our stories because there is somebody that is going to take that information and feel like they can be open and share their stories. And that's how we break the stigma. And we honor our loved ones by having compassion for where they were so that we can show others that it's okay to not be okay.
Yes. And as we are willing to share our vulnerability, they become more likely to be vulnerable as well, and to open up and have those honest, open, difficult conversations that change hearts and change minds.
Agree. And, you know, I heard this message from someone else years ago that when someone is sharing something that has happened to them, or, you know, as a child coming to a parent and being able to be open with a parent, we have to treat those situations like a first responder. And
Yes. So,
as an example, let's say your teen comes to you or a friend comes to you and they tell you, I just got in a car accident. You know, if you're in a car accident, and you pull over to the side of the road, and the police officer walks up to you, does he come at you and say, look what you've done? Can you believe you just did this? You caused this massive accident. All these people have had to pull over on the side of the road and now they can't get whatever, right? All of these reactions that come into place. No, they don't do that. They come up to the car and they say, are you okay? What can I do for you? And then they get into the information. So as the people that are listening and the parents that your child's coming to you, if we can respond in a way that gives them the trust that we can handle it, then they will share more with us. Yes. If they see that we cannot handle it, then they're going to close off and they are not going to share. So as a friend, as a spouse, as a parent, as a sibling, we need to be a safe space.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. And honestly, sometimes it's difficult because you, as an imperfect human, are going through your own set of emotions and challenges. And there are times when your patience is up. And I've been there before. So to have the compassion to override what you're feeling inside in favor of the one who's really struggling.
Yes. That would be my advice. And I wasn't perfect at it.
No, I mean, none of us are. There's no training manual for most people who are supporting somebody with mental health challenges. They're simply doing the best that they can. And they may be reading and studying and talking to others for advice. But when it comes right down to a one-on-one conversation, you may not know exactly what to say.
Right.
And I don't know that it matters that you have something perfect to say. We can show up imperfectly and still have a perfect effect.
Yes.
On the one that we love.
I love that. Yes.
What are some of the myths or misconceptions about suicide that you'd like to break down with the community?
I would have to go back to what we talked about. A myth would be that it's a selfish act and that it's something that you can control. That's a big one. And so back to what I had talked about, that we have to have a little bit more understanding and compassion, and we have to take the time to be aware, because suicide doesn't show up blatantly. It's hidden.
Yes.
And it's deceptive. And Taylor had a beautiful energy about him. Taylor would walk in a room and the room would change.
Yes.
And people didn't know why. They just knew they would gravitate towards him. And he had this smile that he carried. But what nobody understood or realized is that he had a really good mask.
Yeah.
And so my point is, Taylor had a very loving, supportive family. He had a lot of friends. He had everything that, most people don't have. And so you would have looked at that, they looked at him and it was beautiful. He had more girlfriends than we even could keep track of. And all of the things and what people thought was, well, how did this happen? So suicide wears a mask, and we need to dig deeper. We need to be more aware. And the people that are really loud, that are a lot of energy, and that have a big smile, you need to be asking questions.
Ooh.
And you need to be taking the time to say, are you okay? And the ones that are isolating, that you're not hearing from, you need to reach out. We need to reach out. We need to do better when it comes to staying in touch. And life gets away, and we get busy.
It does.
But that would be a lot. That was a lot, wasn't it?
No, I mean, it's absolutely perfect. I would say the same was Tara's situation. She also would light up a room, yet she didn't open up that dark side of her as easily as I wish that she had. she would talk to me and she shared some things with me. But for most people on the outside, looking at the highlight reel of Instagram,
Right.
they'd have no idea that she was truly struggling. And I love your reminder that we need to take the time to act and ask, and then be very perceptive about that conversation. Because it's one thing to say, "Hey, how are you, Cristie?" And you're like, "Oh, everything's great," but it's another to like look you in the eyeballs and say, "No, really, like you
Right.
seem a little off. Can you talk to me about what's going on?"
Yes. Yes.
Wow. So I think that's a great way to explain what we can do for those who are struggling with mental health challenges and suicidal ideation. What about those that have lost somebody, either to suicide or something else? I know you've given this lots of thought,
Yes.
as have I. How do you think we can best show up for somebody who has lost a loved one to suicide?
Such a good question. And I hear so many stories where someone that is lost, whether it's a child, a spouse, doesn't matter the loss, and other people that don't know loss really struggle knowing how to show up. And oftentimes they think that the person should be over it
Oh,
or that they should move on. And I think that's where we really need to take a hard look at ourselves and how we show up. And the best way, I say, is to have patience for the journey that they are about to encounter.
ooh, yes.
And to know that there is no timeline on it and that it is going to be a roller coaster of emotions for a few years. And depending on the support that that person is getting, whether it's from family or therapy or whatever, is going to help determine the length of time. Now, grief does soften with time, and if you're able to be in a space to do the work, but it never goes away, and they will never be over it. And that's the first thing we have to do. If you have someone in your circle that has lost a loved one, I highly recommend going to the website Center for Loss. Dr. Alan Wolfout has a whole library of books that he has written on how to support someone that is grieving and the different types of grief. And there is one book that I hand out to people when they call me and say, "What do I do? And how do I support this person?" It's a book called Companioning the Bereaved. And there is a wealth of information on how you can show up for that person. First and foremost, I say, you cannot fix this. There is nothing you can say that is going to change it. Do
Right.
not say they're in a better place. Do not say, "Oh, God had a plan for them."
Right.
Do not say that you're going to find some sort of reprieve from something. No. Sit with them. If you're willing to go to the wilderness with them, because it is going to be a wild ride, then you are an angel in their space.
Yeah.
Um,
To feel it with them,
yeah.
to grieve with them, to try to put yourself in a place where you're feeling the emotions that they're feeling,
Yes.
and helping them heal by doing that.
And I always like to say to do not be afraid to say their name, because you are not reminding them that they have died. What you're doing is you're reminding them that you remember. And when someone says Taylor's name, the biggest smile comes on my face, because I want to hear his name.
Yeah.
And I want to know that you care and that you have a story or a memory that you can share with me about him. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. Because you're right, you don't want your loved one to be forgotten. You want their legacy and their impact to continue beyond their physical life.
Yes.
Live on in the hearts of those who love them.
Yes.
That's really nice. And it's hard to be a support like I want to, in my heart I want to be, but in order to be a really good support, I've almost got to be disciplined about putting calendar reminders out there. Like you said, the grieving doesn't go away in the first week or the second week. Could be in month 4, could be in year 15.
Right.
Those people who have lost will always appreciate somebody being sensitive enough to say, hey, I realize it's been a while, but how are you feeling about losing Taylor, losing your loved one? Tell me what you've thought about them lately, and celebrate their life.
Yes. I am always just so grateful when one of the boys reaches out to me on an anniversary or his birthday and shares that they're thinking of Taylor, or they say, share something that Taylor taught them, or whatever it is. I'm always so grateful for those people to reach out, because they know that that week's always a hard one for me. So
cute.
Yeah,
I love that. Whew.
Heavy stuff.
It is heavy stuff, but I appreciate the willingness to be open to the conversation, to share what's in your heart. Hopefully, we can share something that will help other people who are struggling themselves or struggling to support a loved one.
Yes, that's our hope.
Well, should we turn it back to something more happy?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about your Vision Gala.
Okay.
It is coming up. It's November 8th.
Yes.
Whew, that's just a few weeks away. Can you give a brief summary of what that event is and what it means to the foundation?
Yes, so this gala, you and I are at odds with how to say it, so anyone who can tell us the appropriate way, we would love it. This is our 8th annual. The gala started in 2017, and it has been a way for us to not only bring awareness, which is such an important part of what we do, also a place for us to raise the money to support the programs that we do. We are a board of 100% volunteers, so we have no salary paid positions on this board. So the money that is raised that night goes right back into our community.
Yes.
That night is an evening of casino night, silent auction, live auction, dinner, and we have a cash bar, and it's an incredible night. I always say, if you just want a date night out, this is the event to be at, because not only are you getting an amazing experience, but you are giving back to the community. And I'm proud to say, I kind of pat all of us on the back for this, it's the event of the year. You do not want to miss it.
I have heard it's a big party. I haven't attended before, but I am signed up to volunteer this year.
Good.
So I get to be there and be part of the action. I'm excited.
It's amazing. It's an amazing night. I'm super proud of it. We average about 500 people that attend. We have at least 100 volunteers that help us put it on. It's at the Grand America this year. We have gone from the very first year, we had about 40 people attend. We did it in a little bar in Murray. And we have grown to where we are now at the Grand America, and it's incredible.
You must be doing something right.
We have an amazing community of people. Our industry, the real estate community and the mortgage industry are big supporters of what we're doing, and I couldn't be more grateful. I think we are a community of people that want to give back and want to support, and we really show up.
Yes.
And so I think it's amazing.
That's so great. I'm excited for it. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, I saw one of your board members organizes, it's not really baskets, but she's prepared something that recognizes her son, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
and that becomes an auction item.
Yes.
Is that something anyone can do?
Anybody can do, and we love it. So if you want to figure out how to be a part of what we're doing that night, but you can't attend, or even if you can't attend, we love having a silent auction item that honors your loved one. And so what you do is, in this case, you can do something that represents something they love to do, or we're passionate about, or it could be anything. And then we put a picture of your loved one with a message, and that silent auction is donated in honor of them. And it's displayed throughout the area. This year I'm doing a fully decorated Christmas tree in honor of Taylor, because he loved Christmas.
Wow.
But in the past, he loved to skydive, so we would do skydiving, and we would, honor him through a photo and a memory about him.
Wow, that's so great.
Yes.
When I heard about that, it immediately got me thinking about Tara. She was the consummate hostess. She loved to have people come over for dinner, and I'm sure I could put together a great little package with some of the recipes you used
That
and
would be
things like
amazing.
that.
Yes, it'd be
Yeah.
incredible.
Huh. Yeah, I love that idea too. Okay, so you mentioned one of the great ways to support that gala event is to attend yourself. But if you can't attend, obviously you're able to contribute in other ways. So you've got the auction items they can participate in.
Yes, so you have silent auction, raffle, because at the end of the casino, because we can't gamble here,
Uh-huh.
right? So we have
Uh-huh.
raffles that we give out after the end of the casino night. And let's see what else. You can also volunteer. If you send an email to volunteer at TH, as in Taylor Hagen, thmemorialfoundation.org, we will put you on the list, and we have loads of stuff that we need help with.
Yeah, that is going to be a really fun way to contribute. Are there any special moments that you're looking forward to at this year's event?
At the event, I really enjoy seeing the people that come out and getting to connect with everybody. I am an introvert, not kind of. I am an introvert,
Okay.
and I have to put a lot of energy out. So when I get to see everybody in the community, it's an amazing night for me.
I can imagine the energy is fantastic.
And I do love sharing where the money has gone. And so every year I go over where their impact has been made and what they are doing, and that's a big emotional moment for me.
But it feels really satisfying to see that you brought so many people together for such a great cause, and that the money that you raise is going to just carry on that cause throughout the coming year.
That's our plan.
Hey, I love that. Love that so much. So thanks for talking about that event and how people can participate there. If you think about other ways that they can participate in the cause, obviously supporting the foundation helps with that. But what are the things that you feel people can do in their everyday lives to make a difference for suicide prevention in Utah?
It doesn't have to be a big task. You can always volunteer, obviously, for the crisis line. You can go to AFSP. You can do the walks. There's a lot of events to participate in. But I would say to kind of wrap up and circle what we've talked about, Dave, is that showing up for our friends, showing up for our families. Try to make time and not be in the whirlwind of the day-to-day, and really be present in a way that you can have the awareness that maybe something's going on with somebody. And so we can directly impact just by showing up, being present, and reaching out. So if you don't know how to make a difference, those are some simple ways.
I love those reminders. It's encouraging me to get out and do a better job with my family and friends, because I love the people in my life. I want them to be happy, fulfilled, and know that they're loved, so that they can continue to live on and live happy. And I also, frankly, I don't love having conversations about somebody who's considering taking their life, but I will have that conversation any day. I'll have that conversation any day when somebody is feeling down and not sure where to go. I want to be the type of friend and family member who's available and willing to go to those dark places with them, with love.
And we need a lot more of us to be like that. So good, I'm glad you're there.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're about to wrap up here. Again, let's just kind of remind people where they can find your foundation.
Okay.
You mentioned already the website, thmemorialfoundation.com.
.org.
.org. Thank you. Ooh.
The website is
Good catch.
thmemorialfoundation.org. You can follow us on our social media, Taylor Hagen Memorial. We are on Instagram, so everything we're doing in the community, every event, and a lot of tips and support around suicide and mental health and grief are also on that social media page.
I really like what you've done. I follow the page and watch what you continue to put out, and it's always been a great reminder for me when I see new things pop up.
That's good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah, thank you for the effort. Okay, well, I really appreciate this conversation. It's not an easy conversation to have with somebody that you just met for the first time face to face. But you've shown your courage and your grace and your tremendous understanding of the subject through the way that we've talked today. And I really appreciate you sharing that openly.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It is so nice to meet you personally. I've seen a lot of your stuff, and I'm just truly honored to be here. Thank you.
Very sweet. Thank you. I do believe that as each of us reaches out to those that we love, that we can make a difference in our community, that those who struggle can feel some hope, that those who feel like they're alone can feel loved. I know we can all do that through the work of your foundation and through the work that we do in our everyday lives. Okay, I think that we've covered everything we need to cover. Since we've covered a dark topic, I would like to wrap up with just some reminders of the resources that are available for anybody who's struggling or supporting somebody who struggles. You are not alone. There are many different resources that you can use. Recently in the United States, we have created a helpline similar to 911. That is the number 988. Anywhere in the United States, you can dial 988 and reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline for free confidential support. It's 24 hours a day. If you're outside of the U.S., you can find international helplines. Findahelpline.com is the place that you can go for that. And I'd just like to remind those who are struggling that reaching out and asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It's a sign of a desire to continue to live life and contribute to the life that you're meant to live here. So I would encourage you to do that. I personally am open to any conversations that anyone wants to reach out to me for, even if I don't know you. Let's get in the weeds and let's have a conversation. I'm glad to do that. And I'll wrap up with just simply this. If this conversation has touched you or helped you, please feel free to share it with a friend, a family member, or a colleague. Sometimes the most important thing we can do is remind somebody that they are not alone. Do you have any final words, Cristie?
I'm just in awe of you right now. Well said. What a beautiful wrap up. And I love that you did a segment of this in everything else that you do in the real estate community, and that you took this heavy topic, but a really important topic, and brought it to this podcast. So thank you for that.
Very nice. Thanks, Cristie. I appreciate you. We'll be sharing more from this conversation in little bits and pieces as time goes on.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.